and welcome to another episode of Sports by Compian. I am, of course, your host, Stephen Compian, joined here by my handsome motherfucking co-host, wearing his amazing Twats tour jersey, Mr. Daniel
Thank you,
Gill!
buddy. Love your introductions. Fires me up.
Hell yeah, bro. Good to see you here today. We saw a full weekend of sports. And before we hop into the guys actually getting paid, Dan, let's talk about some guys not getting paid who are just doing this for the love of the sport, shall we? And I am, of course, referring to your Rockford Ravens. We played host to a new team, the McHenry Vikings, decided to come visit us. They showed up with 13 guys. And let me tell you, Dan, if you're trying to beat this spring Rockford Ravens, you're going to need more than 13 guys to accomplish this, bud. So we gave them a couple players because we're nice guys, but we did proceed to absolutely beat the living crap out of them. Final score to come, but it was basically a beatdown from the very beginning. I mean, the first drive of the game, we had like 7 penalties in a row and got back all the way up to the try zone. Just like people hopping over rucks, people just doing stupid shit. Dave literally pulled me aside and was like, hey, he pulled the two captains. He's like, hey, D4 side, D3 side. D4 side super disciplined right now. D3 side, you guys look like ass. And he's like, get your shit together. I turn around, look at the boys. I'm like, hey guys, I don't have to say shit. Just knock it off. Stop doing this dumb shit. And we proceed to.
But how much of that is because you guys do have a fair amount of rookies. So
it was.
I get that it's I get that it's a D3, D4 thing, but was Dave taking into account that you guys have a ton of rookies?
Agreed, but it was also vets doing stupid shit. So I'm not here to just say it was it. And I'm not here to just say it was the rookies doing it. But the boy, your boy, proceeded to hold up one of their try, and we kicked it away, and they never came close to the try zone again until the very second half, when they're already thoroughly beaten. They had a turnover, which they turned back for their only try of the day. Dan, final score 64-5. Your Rockford Ravens. So yeah,
so not as bad as our Fox City game last year, but
not as bad as that Fox City game. But this is a thorough beatdown on those McHenry Vikings. So shout out to them. Good group of guys. I hope they continue with their rugby ways.
Yeah, no, I mean we were talking a little before the show about it. It's exciting to see another team in the area close by join.
For sure.
Join in. It's a good relationship to build. Hopefully, we can build it up. Maybe turn it into a pretty profitable thing between the two of them.
Absolutely. They're close enough to us that we could absolutely form a good alliance with those guys. But anyway, enough about these people not getting paid, Dan. What the heck happened to your DC Defenders this Saturday? I did see the second half, but I'll let you hop in here first, Dan. What was going on, man? So, they got behind early and just couldn't get it together, huh?
Yeah, no. Arlington jumped out fast and going. I mean, here's the thing. Let's back up a couple weeks. Their game in DC went to overtime. So, part of me wasn't surprised that this was a close game or was going to be played in a close manner. Arlington's really a tale of two seasons here. There's pre-Perez and, post-Perez.
Right.
Where Luis Perez started the season in Vegas.
Yep.
On the Vipers. And he got traded and completely turned them around.
Yeah.
So, you really got to look at that team from when he took the starting job, because he didn't start right away when he came into Arlington. I think it took a game or two, but he just brought a dynamic to the offense. And, we've seen Luis Perez play well in the AAF. I believe he also had time in the USFL. So,
yeah, he was.
I don't want to say I'm surprised by any means. The way that they brought it to Houston, their heavy running game there. But he was, playing the ball well, protecting it, and, no interceptions. So, it was a common thing that we saw with the DC defense, though, all year was they could be really on or they could be really off. And that's what happened the first time they met up with each other. That one was first half was all DC. They came out hot. They were up. I believe they were up 18-9 or 20-9 at halftime, and DC ended up winning 28-26 in OT. So
Oh,
You know,
wow.
they got held to 6 points. They got held to 6 points in the second half and gave up 17 in the second half. So, you know, that was always a concern with the DC defense heading into the playoffs. And, you know, that's, you know, kind of what happened here. They couldn't stop the pass. You know, 288 there for Perez. It
3
was a solid
touchdowns.
game with 3 touchdowns. And, you know, their running game, you know, 111 yards wasn't bad either.
Although they
You know,
stuck
it
with it.
happens.
Like, their main carrier, 15 carries for 54 yards. Like, not a lot out of him, but they stuck with it.
No,
Mr. Smith himself.
and I think you know, something that we saw in the Seattle game with the defenders was they got lucky that they had a couple turnovers. DC had a couple turnovers, but it didn't hurt them. Well, it finally did in this game because
Yeah.
they only had 3 interceptions this game.
He had
And
3
it's
interceptions.
really hard to win when you turn the ball over 3 times.
Oh, shit. Yeah, he did.
You know,
Oh, no,
so,
Tavo.
and the shame is, like, if you take the 3 interceptions out, you know, 245, 2 touchdowns isn't a bad day.
No, not
But,
at all.
you know, when
But
you
those 3 interceptions are
throw
huge.
3
That's huge.
throw 3 interceptions, it just kills drives.
Of course.
You know, and that was really what killed them in this game. So,
And it looks like they should have just stuck
off.
with. It looks like they should have just stuck with Abram Smith, which is what they've been doing all year. Guy had an absolutely amazing game. 13 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 6.9 average. You should have just stuck with him. It looks like.
They should have, yeah. But you know,
I guess they got behind early, so they had to start throwing it.
Yeah, turn into that running gun. But you know, like we were kind of talking about, I think in an episode back in January, like what does this league need to do to be successful? You know, step one was right here. You play your championship game, you crown a champion. You know, you get to boast that around the social media and whatnot. So,
Sure.
Step one, they've already said they're having a season next year. You know, who knows if they're going to add more teams or not? We don't know yet. But you know, hats off to Arlington. Well played.
Hell of a comeback for them.
That was a team that had average attendance. So, you know, I think DC is going to show out really well because they were at the end. Maybe Arlington gets a little bit of a bump on their end since, you know, they're the champions. People want to come out and see them more. So I think all things positive come out of this despite my team not winning. I would have loved to go to a parade probably bigger than the Redskins would ever get for a Super Bowl.
That's too
But
bad.
you know, that's up for debate here.
Sure.
But no, yeah. At the end of the day, that's been the season-long problem with DC is just costly turnovers, and you know, more times than not, it hasn't cost them. But
one thing I will say, watching that game, when they were down early, I think it was the start of the fourth quarter. He just put an absolute bomb down to Chris Blair, and dude, Chris just dropped that right in his bucket. It was right in his hands, dude. That touchdown would have put them right back in the game. We might be having a much different conversation today if he makes that catch. So rough for Chris Blair because I think he had a really good season, so it's tough for him to go out like that. But fuck, that was a costly drop ball for the DC defenders. Beautiful pass by Towell.
And I think another thing was, you know, they weren't really converting on their tries after scoring.
Yep.
So it's leaving a lot on the table there.
Sure.
So, you know, I think they only converted on one of their scores. The rest of them, they all failed. So, I mean, right there, I think there's at least 6 points on the table. Sure, they lost by 9, but, you know, set yourself up for a field goal to push the OT.
Absolutely. Yeah, quite a disappointment for the defenders. As you mentioned, that defense did not show up where they have been pretty solid most of the year, other than a couple bad games here and there. But they couldn't get home on Luis Perez. And you know, like you already kind of mentioned this, but great story out of Luis Perez, man. Apparently he was like Division II quarterback, switched over from like receiver or something, like basically pleaded the coaching staff to let him play. And they kept him on there as like a 4th, 5th string, 7th string, I even forget. A year later, the guy's starting. So, like, this guy just can't be denied. You know, he's not a give-up type of guy. He just grinds through. This dude's been in the Canadian League, USFL, as you mentioned, now the XFL. I think he's older, so I don't think a lot of NFL teams are looking at him. But good for this guy, man. Sticking to the sport he loves and just pushing through. It's really cool to see.
He's 28, so it's not out of the realm.
I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Someone might give him a shot, especially after, man, he really took over those last 3 games or so. Because they had to win. They had to win to get into the playoffs, and then he beat Houston upset, and then another upset against the Defenders. So that's good quarterback play right there. But anyway, moving on from here, from the disappointment of the DC Defenders and crowning the Arlington champions, the first champions of the XFL, seeing as they wrapped up last year before it could finish. So good for the Renegades. Moving on to some MLR action. I was at the game for this Chicago Hounds New York Ironworkers. Bro, this was so disappointing. I don't even know how to describe this. So New York goes up early with a quick try. And we're like, okay, all right, it's to be expected. Chicago was on it, though, dude. They came to play, man. Fucking shout out to McLean Jones flying up and hitting people as soon as they were catching that ball, dude. I fucking love to see that guy play. A great number 7. But they responded right away, tie it up, get a couple kicks. I think they had 2 back-to-back kicks, and then Dominguez broke a couple tackles. Maybe somebody else, actually. I think they scored on something else, and then Dominguez scored the last one for them. Either way, they're up 20-7 with, I think, 20 minutes to go, man. It was like the fucking Chicago crowd was going wild, dude. We were so excited. We're fucking about to have the biggest upset of the fucking league coming on our hands. And then just, oh, man, but slowly but surely, you just see New York do what New York does. They are a good, solid rugby team. They didn't panic. They didn't get crazy. They just stuck to the rugby they know. And Chicago struggled to retain possession in those last 20 minutes and kept on giving the ball to New York. Couple very questionable calls out of that ref, but whatever. We're not going to go ahead and put this on the ref. But, yeah, a couple of very costly turnovers for Chicago. The Ironworkers get a quick try. Dude, we're literally down to 78 minutes. And they fucking have the ball on the fucking try, right in there. It's a line out on the 5. They bring it down into a maul. The Hounds are desperately defending on their goal line. We're yelling, hold it up, hold it up. Unfortunately, they're not able to, Dan. They get that try. The crowd is going. This was one of the funnier things I've been involved in, is the crowd just absolutely laying into this New York kicker, trying to break his concentration. Because, if he misses that kick, we still win. And we would have won this 20-19. Dude, we were laying into that guy, trying to get him to fucking miss. He did not. But I will say we did still have a chance to win. On the kickoff, there was some miscombobulation by the New York team, and one of our subs, there was a bounce ball. One of our subs ran on there, dude, and just bobbled it. If he catches that ball, he was gone. And that was a try in the last fucking minute. But it wasn't all lost from there. We kept on fighting, and we actually managed to get a penalty right on their close, really close to them. Now, this is not at all an easy kick. But, dude, the stadium was dead silent. Fans were, shushing other fans and stuff. We were dead silent as our number 10 goes up there to take this kick. Looking terrible. The kick goes off, and it's, looking way outside the post. We're like, fuck. The wind blows it back to the middle. The fans are going wild. It drops right before the fucking post. Oh, my God, dude. Dude, it was so close. So close. The Hounds had so many chances to win this, Dan. We were so close. Damn. Dude, I don't think we're that much worse than a lot of these middle-tier teams in the MLR. I've been telling this to Will Derwin a couple times. They play all these teams decent. They always get tries. Their defense is a little suspect sometimes, but, they always play everyone pretty hard. They're always right there.
Here's my thing, though. To me, they're not exactly a very traditional expansion team.
No, because they got a bunch of old players.
Well, yeah, because LA and Austin left, so they got a lot of their players, among other draft picks. But
right.
It's not like they came in fresh with LA and Austin.
Yeah,
in it.
And plus, Chicago is a rugby city, dude. Chicago is a rugby city.
So many.
It is a rugby
so
city.
Many prospects in there. It's
crazy. It's crazy, dude. And they did open tryouts. I think a couple guys actually made that open tryout. So that should tell you the level of good rugby here in Chicago. So yeah, heartbreaker for that one. Your boys DC Defenders could not hang with the Free Jackets. The Free Jackets are looking fucking really good right now.
Old glory. We
Oh
can
yeah,
talk
Old Glory.
the defenders.
Yeah. Old Glory. They struggle to keep up with the Jackets. The Jackets just kind of did what the Jackets do, man. They just always look so good on offense, and their defense is stout.
They're just picking up where they left off last year. Let's just be
pretty
honest.
much. And honestly, yeah, them losing to New York in the playoffs last year was quite a surprise. So I think you're right. I think they're going to be definitely a huge contender, if not.
I mean, they're leading the East right now, so I don't.
By a lot.
No one's going to catch them.
No one's going to catch them in the East.
They're up by 11 points right now in the East.
Yeah, and honestly, the way they're playing right now, no one's going to catch them, and their defense is so good. They have apparently given up the least amount of tries in all of MLR right now. So, shout out to them playing some fucking solid-ass defense and rugby in general. Seattle Seawolves find themselves another win over the SaberCats. The SaberCats are a good team, but they can't hang with the top-tier teams, it appears. Nola Gold,
I mean, that game, though, that was like, I don't want to say a must-win for Houston, but it's tight. It's tight with the top three teams making it in. Like,
well, they got to worry about the Warriors. So if they can't get past the Warriors,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're 3 points over Utah right now. Like, they needed to win that game.
Yeah.
To keep pace, especially knowing that Utah was playing Dallas this week.
Exactly.
Not to knock Dallas, but let's just be real here.
Right.
They're 1-11 on the year. We all know what we're getting.
Exactly. And Nola Gold continues their struggling with. Nola Gold's such a streaky team, dude. Sometimes they look like the best team in the league. Other times they got their ass kicked by New York last week. Kind of hung with San Diego a little bit better showing than they did against New York, but still kind of got handled.
Yeah, but they're just hanging out with Toronto at the bottom of the East right now.
Apparently. And then we had the Dallas. No, that's Nola Gold we're talking about. I think they're in the East.
No, yeah, they're in the East. Yeah, with Toronto.
Okay. Oh yeah, and the Dallas Jackals are in the West, right?
Yeah.
The Jackals fell to the Utah Warriors as Dan mentions. Not the biggest surprise here for us. But what was a big surprise was the Toronto Arrows.
The score was the surprise.
Yeah. Honestly, yes, it was. 26 points from the Jackals isn't bad. Not a bad showing from them. But what was a surprise was definitely the Toronto Arrows tying up Rugby Atlanta. Rugby Atlanta is struggling for answers right now. This is the team that was in the final, I want to say a couple of years ago. No, I'm sorry. They were just no, they weren't in the final last year, but they were in the semifinals. They're a very good team, and they just seem to be looking for answers this year still. You can't be tying Toronto Arrows. Like, what's going on here, boys?
No, like Atlanta, they've been a steady team.
Yeah.
In their history. They lost in the first round of the playoffs last year to New York, but the way Toronto's been playing, especially because Atlanta's sitting 3 points behind DC for the last playoff spot in the East. Like, there's no reason they shouldn't have won that game.
Got to win that game. Got to win the easy ones because there's enough hard ones. Well, Dan, that's the situation with MLR Rugby. As we've mentioned a couple times on this pod, it's going to be a fucking wild finish. The USFL is still going on. Week 5 has just kicked off, Dan. The Pittsburgh Maulers find their second win of the season, and I believe their third win overall as a franchise, or maybe their second win overall. Either way,
second
win overall. Wow, okay. And meanwhile, the Michigan Panthers now find themselves in a 3-game losing streak after starting off hot 2-0. So sad for them. They need to seem to figure their lives out. I mean, you can't score 7 points and expect to win football games. This was a surprise. Gamblers take down the Birmingham Stallions 27-20. Maybe these Gamblers are serious this year, Dan. What do we think? I mean, you take down Birmingham.
That's definitely a tall order to do. I think they're going to definitely be a tough team to beat in the South, but it's a little bit of a tight race down there with them now tying the Stallions and holding that tiebreaker at the time.
For sure.
And just 1 game behind New Orleans. We'll see.
Yeah. Furthermore, we had the Stars go ahead and beat the Generals. This was a big game because the Generals are pretty good, and they seem to be struggling this season so far, and the Stars were definitely struggling before this game. So good win for them to kind of get back on track. It's kind of weird that they played this game in Michigan where both those are East Coast games, but I guess they don't have a stadium out in the East.
Philly got assigned to Michigan.
Oh, okay. That makes total sense. That's totally smart and makes tons of sense. Absolutely. Great job on them
Trust
on their
me,
part.
we can go all day about this one.
I know. We've actually had this discussion, but yeah, it's pretty ridiculous if you ask me. The Showboats went ahead and beat the Breakers.
I think
Now that's a huge one.
That's the shocker of the week to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Their second win overall as a franchise. Breakers take their first loss of the season. They could not get the ball going, apparently. 10 points. Jeez.
None. And, we're here at the halfway point of the season, and the North is just a complete wide open mess. All the teams are 2-3, so we can't even figure out who a good pick is to take in this division.
You're not wrong.
And, and it's quite frankly a tight race in the South too, with New Orleans holding the top spot 4-1, Gamblers and Stallions 3-2. And, the Showboats probably saved their season by beating New Orleans to go 2-3. If they went 1-4, their season might be done.
Be over.
So, yeah, it looks like we might have a wild race to the finish here.
Looks like it. And Kelly had a decent game. He did have an interception. One interception, one touchdown. I think this is hilarious. White with 14 carries for 29 yards, or Kelly with 5 carries for 4 yards.
4 yards.
So, overall, this was a defensive battle, it seems like.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Absolutely.
I feel like you and I touched on this offline a little bit here and there. The differences between the two leagues, the XFL, USFL. At times, it seems like there's more scoring, consistently more scoring in the XFL than there's been in the USFL. Like, yeah, we've had some real barn burners. We talked about Houston just blew Philly out of the water like 41 to something. So there has been those big breakaway games. It seemed like earlier in the season, fresh out of the gate, they were higher scoring, but it seems like as we get more in the week, we're seeing more of these 17-10, 21-17 scores.
Yeah, all these were pretty low.
They're close, which is good. It's going to make for an interesting game to watch, but there's not a lot of scoring yet.
Yeah, all these games were close, except for the Maulers one. That was the only real blowout.
Except for the Maulers game, yeah. I'm really surprised that the Panthers are playing the way that they are. But
hey, I didn't mean to bring this up about the Maulers. I don't think I've ever seen a team kick more field goals than the Maulers have this season so far. Dude, they've kicked they gotta have kicked 18 field goals at this point or some shit. They can't finish drives, these guys. They would have beat I think they were playing Birmingham or somebody pretty good last week, and they frankly would have won if they could have just scored a couple more touchdowns and kicked field goals.
Yeah, it's those weird ones with points on the board.
Yeah,
but at what point, with the conversion systems and stuff, is it worth just going for it at that point?
Legit. Yeah, they gotta figure out some touchdowns, but it was enough to beat the Michigan Panthers, that's for sure. Dan, let's have a quick look at this coming week. So week 6 is coming up, and we got some dandies. We're gonna have the Maulers take on the Showboats. Two teams just found their second win of their franchises both. So now they're both gonna struggle for that third win as a franchise each. Michigan Panthers aren't going to catch a break as they go down to play the Birmingham Stallions. At least they will be at home for this one. Breakers and Stars, that should be interesting. Hopefully the Stars can show us that they're a legit team. They just beat the Generals, so they're already playing pretty well. The Generals, on the mean hand, are going to have to rally here. They're going to have to beat Houston. If they lose that game too, they're not in a good position, Dan. They're going to have. It's not going to be an easy game, obviously, with the Gamblers, but.
I think, it won't be an easy game, but I think I'm going to take the Generals there.
They got to. They got them in a hole.
They got them in a hole.
So you got to win. They got to win, or they're going to probably die. So yeah,
I think, don't be shocked if Memphis beats Pittsburgh. I think that would be kind of 2 upsets in a row.
That wouldn't surprise me
for Memphis. The way that they play, but no, I think...
Is that even an upset? Or is that
No, I would. I think Pittsburgh has been has been consistently a better team this year,
Yeah, you're
despite
right.
the record. But I think New Orleans is going to take care of Philly, and Birmingham's going to take care of Michigan. I don't see anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I don't see Michigan pulling this off. But I would actually agree with all those assessments, except for maybe the Maulers. I think the Maulers are probably going to beat the Showboats. But then again, the Showboats did just beat the Breakers, so you might be onto something there. But I think I'll stick with the.
They can't get too high on themselves.
You're not wrong, but I think I'll stick with the field goal champions and see if they can pull off another win. I think the Breakers are going to pull it off against the Stars. I don't know if you picked the Stars for that one. I'll also go Generals on this one.
And I think New Orleans is going to win that one.
I got you.
Yeah, maybe your boys in Chicago should call the Pittsburgh ticker for some help. Get a little extra leg on it.
Not a bad idea, actually. Anyway, then the Jersey Generals. That's going to be a good game. I mean, the Gamblers, honestly. I think I'm taking the Generals, though. They need to win this game. So I think I'm going to pick them for this one. Dan, do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to share with the class here before we head off into this end of episode recap?
Well, we unfortunately did not get our friend Taylor on with us today.
I know. Very sad. But maybe next week.
Maybe next week. But he did show his garden that he has. I know he's been opening his new business. Very proud of him there.
Absolutely. Shout out Canna Cafe. The Canna Cafe.
The Canna Cafe. But mainly I had to respond to him, Life's a Garden. Dig it, so.
Your what?
Life's a Garden. Dig it.
Hell yeah.
Joe Dirt. Yeah. Do whatever makes you happy, man. That's all that matters.
Love it. I'm going to say real quick. Your body language is saying your confidence is gone. Pick yourself up a little, homie. What the fuck, bro? No one else is going to come pick you up. You got to fucking do it yourself. Because, frankly, man, I'm fucking tired of fucking losing. You got to pick up your own damn shit. You got to be willing to fight for this shit. Because I'm fucking sick and tired of not being at greatness. I'm tired of not having it come into our lives. And we got to push for this shit. Because life will keep on pushing you down. And there sure as fuck won't be any apologies about it either. So pick yourself up a little, homie. Fuck that shit.